The series begins with Ishik as she walks into an abandoned house and starts cleaning it up. And while she's doing that, she remembers her old high school gang and everything they used to do back then, so much that people called them the worst group ever. Then we jump back to 1998 at the start of the school year. The first member of the group is Osman, the guy who can make money out of anything. He only cares about his own benefit and earns cash by selling homework to other students. The principal, Nekdet, knows exactly what he's doing, but he can't punish him in any real way. He just keeps warning him. The second one is Kerem, the most hot-headed kid in the entire school. He can start a fight with anyone over the smallest thing, and he gets kicked off the basketball team because he punched the referee during a game. The third one is Eda, whom the principal likes to call the school's little devil. She even gets a teacher fired after he sees the two of them together between classes. The fourth member is Sinan, a guy who doesn't care about anything in his life because he's always drunk and always shows up late to class. Ishik, the sweet girl who loves romantic stories and tales of love, is secretly in love with him and tries to get close to him in any way she can. Principal Nekdet announces during morning assembly that there will be a competition against another school hosted on their campus, and he orders the students to behave responsibly and not cause trouble. Both schools gather in the competition hall, and Osman quickly manages to strike a deal with the other school, a bet where the winning side takes all the losers' money. He collects cash from students to make a profit out of it. Kerem is in charge of bringing the loudspeaker for the event, but when a student talks to him disrespectfully, he smashes the speaker over the guy's head. Meanwhile, Ada decides she wants to control the competition lights. She sneaks into the control room and messes with the lighting until Nekdet orders her out. They try to continue the competition without the loudspeaker. Eda throws a piece of paper at Kerem to piss him off even more, and that sparks a full-on fight between the two schools, completely ruining the competition. Sinan just stands there watching the chaos with a whiskey bottle in his hand, and he suddenly drops it. The bottle hits an electrical outlet, sparks fly, and the place catches fire, bringing the whole event to a disastrous end. The school gets disqualified from the competition and banned from participating in any future ones. The entire group is called in for a board meeting to decide what to do with them. They begin questioning each student one by one, but find nothing useful. They're simply hopeless. The teachers then vote on expelling the group permanently, but the rule is that all teachers must vote yes for the expulsion to pass. The final vote ends with 12 votes in favor and 1 vote against. That one teacher votes no because they're worried about the student's future. Nekdet gets furious that they slipped through his hands again because he's been dying to expel them once and for all. After hearing the committee's decision, the group wants to know who voted for them and saved them. They go to Ishik, who was at the meeting, to get the answer. She's terrified of them, so she tells them that I miss Bars. Burcu was the one who cared about their future. They all know that Burcu is their last hope in the school. After that, everyone heads home. Then we see Sinan living alone in a big house with his sick grandfather. His parents are divorced, each living their own life with their new families, and he's the one left to take care of his grandfather. The next day, Miss Burcu receives an official letter approving her transfer to another school in a different city in 2 months. Nekdet is thrilled. If she leaves, he'll finally be able to expel the entire group without any obstacles. The news spreads quickly, and the group realizes that their end is getting closer. They all gather to figure out what they're going to do next. The principal watches them from his office window, determined to expel them for good. The group gathers at Sinan's house to figure out how to solve this mess, and they eventually decide that the only way is to make Burcu fall in love. If she falls for someone at the school, she'll choose to stay instead of transferring. Since they're all terrible at love, they turn to Ishik for help. She agrees because she adores Ms. Burcu, and she tells them the first and most important step is finding the right candidate for her. They start scanning all the teachers at school until they land on the basketball coach, a former professional player who retired after an injury. They all agree that he's the perfect match and begin planning together. Then the story jumps back to Ishik in Sinan's abandoned house as she sends letters to each member of the group, inviting them to reunite. Each one of them is living in a different city now, but they all return and gather in Sinan's house, trying to figure out how to bring Kamal and Burcu together in the same place and spark something between them. They brainstorm all night long before going home in the morning. Kamal, however, is tough to deal with. He barely tolerates anyone, including Burcu herself. Osman uses his connections to find out Kemal's favorite band, and they come up with a plan to make both Kemal and Burcu attend the same concert so they can meet naturally. Ada goes to talk to a random guy at school, and Kerem shows up behind her and punches the guy, pretending he's defending his girlfriend from someone flirting with her. Meanwhile, Ishik positions Burcu right next to where the fight breaks out so she can witness everything. As soon as the fight starts, Burcu rushes over to break it up and takes Ida to her office because she's hysterically crying. Ida tells her she overheard Kerem planning to finish the fight at the concert they're going to and begs Burcu to come with her because Kerem would never dare start trouble if Burcu is there. Ida's plan works, and she manages to convince Burcu to attend the concert of Kemal's favorite band. They start trying to convince Kemal himself to go to the concert, but Kerem and Osman fail miserably because Kemal can't stand talking to anyone. Sinan, however, manages to sell him a ticket by shoving the concert poster in his face so he can't ignore it. Kemal ends up buying the ticket and decides to go. After finishing the plan, Ishik tells them she won't be able to join because her mother won't allow it, so the whole group goes to her house that evening to convince her mom. They promise they'll take care of Ishik, stay by her side the entire time, and make sure nothing goes wrong. After a lot of pleading, her mother finally agrees. She tells them she loves Ishik deeply and watches over her like any caring parent would. Sinan gets upset hearing that because his own parents abandoned him. They don't care about him at all. He steps out to the balcony for a moment, and later when he gets home, he breaks down crying because of how neglected he feels. When the concert night comes, the group successfully manages to get Kemal and Burcu in the same place. They excuse themselves for any random reason so the two can talk, and the group keeps watch from afar, but Burcu and Kemal don't talk to each other at all. Then Sinan gets an idea. He walks over to Burcu and tells her someone threw his phone into the bathroom and asks if she can help him retrieve it. She goes toward the bathroom, but since it's the men's restroom, Kemal goes with her. The moment they step inside, Sinan quickly shuts the door, hangs a sign that says under maintenance, and locks them in so they're forced to spend time together and maybe bond. But after being in there for a while, Kemal manages to break the bathroom door open and they both walk out. The group completely loses hope in them and decides to leave the concert. Burcu's bag ends up with Ishik, who's holding it tightly, and the group realizes their last hope is that Kemal might drive Burcu home since she doesn't have money for a ride. Ada suggests they all go to her place because Burcu lives in the building right across from hers. That way, they can watch from the window and see whether Kemal will take her home or not. It becomes obvious that Kerem is starting to like Ada, her attitude, her confidence, everything about her. And since it's getting late, everyone goes home except Kerem and Ada, who wait together to see if Kemal will show up with his car. And he does. He pulls up, parks the car, and walks Burcu into her apartment. They stay inside the place together, and the group assumes their plan finally worked, that something romantic must have happened between Kemal and Burcu. Kemal is actually only able to open Burcu's door because her keys are in her handbag, which Ishik is still holding. Burcu invites him in for a warm drink, and Kerem, who's completely drawn to Ada at this point, tries to keep his cool, but she notices he's into her. She tells him he should head home before her parents return, and she'll update him tomorrow with whatever happens. Kerem leaves feeling upset. Inside her apartment, Burcu keeps talking about the school and the group that was almost expelled if it weren't for her. She asks Kemal that once she leaves the school, he shouldn't let Nekdet expel those kids. She loves them and believes they still have hope. Burcu drinks way too much and ends up completely drunk. Kemal helps her to the bedroom and tries to get her comfortable. She asks him to stay with her so she can fall asleep feeling safe. He puts her to bed, then goes to sleep on the couch. Meanwhile, Kerem gets home, and it's revealed that his father is a wealthy businessman who constantly belittles him for being a failure. That emotional pressure deeply affects Kerem and is the main source of his explosive temper. The next morning, Burcu wakes up and is shocked to find Kemal still in her apartment. She prepares breakfast for him, but she accidentally cuts her finger. Kemal tries to clean the wound, but she gets irritated and snaps at him. He tells her he should leave, excuses himself politely, and goes. Meanwhile, the group is at school, waiting eagerly to see the two of them arrive together so they can figure out what happened between them. But they see them walking in separately, both looking annoyed, and they immediately understand that nothing happened. Inside the school, they find Nekdet waiting for them. He tells them they have only 1 month left. Once Burcu leaves the school, he'll finally be able to expel them, since she was their only protection. They all head to class because they have an exam. As usual, Sinan doesn't care enough to answer anything. Ishik secretly swaps her exam paper with his, letting him pass while she writes almost nothing on her own. She tells the teacher she couldn't study this time. Sinan has no idea why she did that for him. As soon as the class ends, he goes to confront her in front of the group. That's when he realizes she loves him. And because Sinan is terrified of loving or being loved, his instinct is always to destroy any connection the moment he feels it. He lashes out at Ishik, telling her she can't play the role of the self-sacrificing saint with him. He tells her not to do that with him or anyone else. She needs to think about herself and be selfish for once. Karam steps in, furious that Sinan is yelling at her, telling him she helped him, and he should be grateful. But the whole group ends up fighting. Everyone is shouting at everyone, until they finally decide they're done with each other. Their love plan failed anyway, so there's no hope of avoiding expulsion. They split up and walk away. Each one deals with their anger in a different way. Karam goes out into the street and gets into fights with random guys, throwing punches and taking punches back just to release everything boiling inside him. Sinan goes home and breaks down crying and screaming in frustration. Ada keeps drawing and scribbling until she angrily tears up her sketches and screams from how overwhelmed she feels. Ishik goes to take her senior photo alone, waiting for the whole group to show up, but they never come. She stands there feeling abandoned and completely alone, like she has no friends. Back in the present time, Ishik is sitting and waiting for the group to return after she sent letters to all of them to gather again in Sinan's old house. She hopes she won't feel the same loneliness she felt on senior photo day. The chandelier suddenly falls and smashes the table she had prepared. She looks in front of her and sees the old whiskey bottle Sinan used to drink from, remembering how isolated and silent he became after their big fight. Then Sinan realizes something. There were looks exchanged between Kamal and Burcu. There's still something there, something that could work. He goes to Osman and apologizes for everything, telling him he noticed the spark between Burcu and Kamal, but their pride is stopping either of them from taking the first step. If they create a new plan, they might be able to revive that feeling, and then the whole love plan might succeed after all. Kamal really does like Burcu and keeps trying to get close to her, but she keeps pushing him away. The group meets up again, and Sinan apologizes to everyone, especially to Ishik, for how he acted. After school, they all walk out together and suddenly see Burcu ahead of them. She greets a man warmly, hugs him, and gets into his car. They all immediately understand that she's in a relationship, that this is her boyfriend, and that's why she's been avoiding Kamal. They realize it's their own fault for not investigating her personal life properly. Burcu goes home with her boyfriend, and Ada watches them from her apartment, confirming that he really is her partner. The entire plan shifts. Their new mission is no longer to pair up Burcu and Kamal. It's to break up Burcu and her current boyfriend, and then get her together with Kamal. But Ishik objects to their plan, insisting they can't break up two people just for their own personal gain. Sinan tries to prove to her that Burcu's boyfriend doesn't deserve her, and that Kamal is a much better match. So Sinan walks out into the rain, takes off his jacket, and heads toward Burcu's boyfriend to see whether he'll offer his own jacket or not. The boyfriend doesn't take his jacket off until Burcu shows up. Only then does he remove it, pretending to be a gentleman just to look good in front of her. The next day, Sinan pulls the same stunt with Kamal. The moment Kamal sees him standing there shivering, he immediately takes off his own jacket before Sinan even explains anything. That's all the proof Sinan needs. He shows Ishik that Burcu's boyfriend isn't worthy of her, and that breaking them up is actually the right thing to do. The next day, the group meets again, but Sinan isn't with them. They also find out that Burcu has taken another day off from school. They begin planning how to separate her from her boyfriend. Meanwhile, in Burcu's apartment, her engagement ceremony is happening with her whole family and his family present. But despite the celebration, Burcu looks tense and unhappy because she's thinking about Kamal. At the same time, Sinan is in the hospital with a fever from being out in the rain. The hospital needs a parent's approval to give him certain medications, but since he has no one, he leaves. As soon as he steps outside, he collapses on the ground and is left lying there until someone rushes him back to the ER. He gets treated and returns home alone. Ishik, certain that Sinan is sick, goes to check on him, brings him food, and tells him that Burcu is officially engaged. Ada confirmed it after checking on her and finding out the engagement was happening that day. The whole group gathers at Sinan's house again. Osman tells them that Burcu's fiance's name is Tunkai, and he works at the land registry office. Now their plan has to change, from breaking up Burcu and Tunkai to convincing Tunkai to stay in Istanbul and not move away with Burcu. But Sinan warns them that a greedy person can't be defeated with intelligence alone. He tells them Kamal's plan should stay as a backup so they don't lose the spark between Kamal and Burcu. Osman comes up with a plan of his own. He goes to return Kamal's jacket to Tuncay, pretending it belongs to him. Osman tells him he knows the jacket is very expensive, which is why he took it from Sinan and brought it back personally. Since Osman had already observed how greedy Tuncay is, he isn't surprised when Tuncay accepts the jacket, pretending it's his. Osman then invites Tuncay out to eat, and Tuncay happily agrees. Osman starts tempting him with the idea that work in Istanbul is incredibly profitable, easy, and full of money. He takes Tuncay to show him the business he runs, selling food to students through multiple under-the-table suppliers who offer cheap sandwiches. Osman even shows him a fake certificate that makes it look like his shop is an officially approved vendor, so the school only deals with him. He explains how he makes money, even though he's still a student. Osman offers Tuncay a chance to partner with him and tells him to think about it. Meanwhile, Ishak goes to the teacher's lounge and, as the student union president, suggests that the upcoming school event should be supervised by Burcu and Kamal, since Burcu is leaving soon and they want to spend more time with her, and since Kamal is new and this will help him connect with students. The teachers approve her idea. Burcu goes to inform Kamal that they've both been roped into organizing the event together. Sinan is still on leave from school, but he gets dressed and heads there anyway because he wants to see Ishak. He has started falling for her because of how much she cares about him. He meets her and tells her he wants to study, work hard, and pass so he can build a better future. He doesn't know why he suddenly feels this way, but he's determined to graduate. Ishak thinks Sinan is making fun of her like he always does. She tells him she's had enough of his games and is sure he's mocking her for loving school and studying. She walks away and goes back to the rehearsal. Ada is also part of the rehearsal, and Kerem stands watching her. He hears Burak, the same guy he fought before, saying he likes Ada and wants Kerem to back off. Kerem threatens him, warning that if he gets close to her again, he'll beat him up just like last time. Kerem decides he needs to confess his feelings. He tells Ada he knows there's something between them and wants to know what he's missing. What flaw in him makes her reject him? She honestly tells him she's not used to someone occupying her mind the way he does, or someone having that kind of influence over her thoughts. It's new to her, and it scares her. That's why she keeps her distance. She walks away and returns to rehearsal. Kerem then goes to Burak and tells him he's broken up with Ada, and if Burak wants to talk to her or date her, he's free to try. Meanwhile, Kamal continues interacting with Burcu as they prepare for the upcoming school event. Burcu starts comparing Tuncay's way of treating her to Kamal's. She realizes Tuncay is dependent and does nothing around the house. He only cares about his job in the gym. Kamal, on the other hand, loves talking to her about everything, listens to her, teaches her how to play basketball. He genuinely cares. The next day, Tuncay shows up wearing Kamal's jacket and walks into the school with Burcu to see Nekdet because he has something important to tell him. A little later, Osman notices that all the students are buying sandwiches from outside vendors instead of from his network. He knows something's wrong. He rushes to the shop he runs through Ali, only to find out that Tuncay went to the school administration and reported that the shop's paperwork was fake. The shop has been shut down, and Osman's entire business network, along with the livelihoods of all the people working with him, is destroyed. At that moment, Osman remembers what Sinan told him, that a greedy person can't be defeated with intelligence alone. So he sends one of the students running toward Tuncay, shouting that he's a thief who stole his jacket right in front of Burcu. The student grabs Tuncay's jacket and hands it to Osman, who stares him down, silently declaring war for what he did. Osman walks alone through the streets, furious, until he calls his father to come pick him up. He asks him if he knows anyone who works at the land registry office. Meanwhile, Kamal is now completely certain he's in love with Burcu. He finally confesses his feelings to her. She's forced to tell him about her engagement and admits she's trying everything she can to stop thinking about him, but she can't. And on top of all that, in less than a month, she's supposed to move to another city and get married. Kamal tells her he'll make things easier for her. He walks away, leaving her in tears. By the end of the day, Tuncay gives Burcu the engagement ring. She puts it on, and she announces her engagement to the other teachers, right in front of Kamal. The next day, rehearsals for the school event continue, and the whole group is participating. They find out that Ishak's birthday is in 3 days, but every time Sinan tries to say something nice, he ruins the moment without meaning to. Ishak starts to feel like there's no hope for him. Burcu trains the students alone because Kamal doesn't show up. She goes to his office and tells him he has to be at rehearsals and can't skip just because there are issues between them. Kamal tells her not everything revolves around her. He didn't attend because he had work. He'll be there tomorrow. Burcu leaves his office and runs into a colleague who tells her she has feelings for Kamal and wants Burcu to help bring them together. Burcu refuses to get involved in anyone's personal affairs and walks away to continue the rehearsal. The next day, Osman begins his revenge plan against Tuncay. He sends Ali to bump into Tuncay, so he'll overhear Ali pretending on the phone that he's selling his land for 2 million instead of 5 because he urgently needs the money. Osman knows this will trigger Tuncay's greed. As expected, Tuncay takes the bait. He offers to help Ali and even gives him a down payment with all the money he has. That's exactly what Osman wanted to complete the next step of his plan. After school, Burak goes to talk to Eda and tells her he wants to date her because Kerem told him they broke up and that he has no problem with him pursuing her. Eda gets even angrier at Kerem's words and runs to Sinan, the group's philosopher. She asks him to analyze her personality. Sinan tells her she's a coward who hides behind fake confidence and that her running away from her relationship with Kerem is just part of who she is. He says she's shallow and cares only about people's opinions. Ada fires back, telling him that if she's a coward, then he is too, because he's unable to confess his feelings to Ishak. Instead of telling her the truth, he keeps pushing her away with his irritating behavior. Meanwhile, Tuncay is packing his bags and tells Burcu he'll be leaving the city for 2 days and will return quickly. He claims he has an important job that could earn him a lot of money. This becomes the perfect opportunity for the group to help Burcu get closer to Kamal again. Maybe they can rekindle whatever was between them. They decide that Ishak and Ada should go visit her and talk to her. After school, Burak shows up again to talk to Ada and invites her to lunch. Kerem steps in and tells them their relationship looks great and that the most important thing is giving themselves a chance to get to know each other. He says it with a smile, just to provoke Ada even more. Ada agrees to go to lunch with Burak, but she can't stop talking about Kerem, his personality, his attitude, everything about him. Burak quickly realizes he's irrelevant and that Ada is clearly in love with Kerem. He gets angry and accuses her of using him just to annoy Kerem, nothing more. He tells her she'll regret it and storms off. Ada meets up with Ishak, and the two of them head to Burcu's place under the pretense of saying goodbye before her trip. Burcu agrees to serve them a drink since Ada requested it, and as they sit together, each girl talks about herself and her idea of a dream partner. Then they turn the conversation toward Burcu, telling her she needs to be absolutely sure her fiancé is someone she can spend her entire life with. Before they leave, Ada takes Kamal's jacket out of her bag and asks Burcu to return it to him. They go meet the rest of the group, hop onto a boat, and celebrate Ishak's birthday. She completely forgets her family is waiting at home preparing her a birthday party. Ishak makes a pact with them. Exactly 20 years from today, on her birthday, they will all meet again in the same place. Right before she blows out the candles, one flies into the sea. Sinan immediately jumps in and rescues it for her. Ada finally confesses her love for Kerem. Meanwhile, Burcu is thinking about everything she heard. She decides to take off her engagement ring, grab Kamal's jacket, and return it to him herself. But just as she's about to leave the house, she finds Tuncay standing at the door. She steps back inside and tells him they need to talk. He says he knows he made a mistake, but promises he'll return all the money to her. Burcu is confused. She has no idea what he's talking about. Then he confesses. He took all her savings and paid them as a deposit to a scammer because he thought he was buying land, but he got conned instead. Burcu tells Tuncay she wants to end the engagement, even before she knew about the money. She finally lets everything out, telling him she's not his servant, that he doesn't care about her at all, and that she would rather stay single forever than marry him. Then she throws him out of the house. Feeling relieved and proud of herself, she heads to Kamal's place, only to find him sitting with Pelin, her colleague. She refuses to listen to any explanation, leaves immediately, and returns home in tears. Meanwhile, in the present timeline, Ishak is preparing food and drinks, waiting for the group to arrive. They're late, and she gets upset, thinking they abandoned her again and ignored her letters. She throws the bottle in her hand, shattering it, then suddenly hears someone knocking at the door. We cut back to the past. At school, Burak plans to fight Kerem. He corners him in the bathroom, but before the fight starts, a teacher walks in, forcing them to stop and leave. But they trap Kerem later in the newly built science lab and start beating him up. Osman senses something is wrong and, along with Sinan, goes searching for Kerem. They find him in the lab, and a massive fight breaks out between all of them. The girls join in too, and the brand new lab gets completely destroyed. Every single thing in it smashed. The chaos reaches Nekdet, and the entire group is sent for disciplinary investigation. Burcu arrives late after receiving a phone call about the incident. Nekdet is waiting for her and tells her he got permission from the ministry to expel students by majority vote instead of unanimous vote, and that the disciplinary meeting will happen immediately. Right before Burcu enters the hearing room, she rushes to Kamal and tells him to pull the fire alarm right now. He does exactly what she asks, and the whole school is evacuated into the courtyard. Burcu goes to speak with the group to understand the reason behind the fight. They tell her they did it to protect Kerem from getting beaten up, and that they weren't the ones who started anything. She tells them she tried to help, but this time the expulsion will be decided by majority vote, and she wishes she could do more. The hearing is postponed to Friday, and she won't be able to help them with her vote. Afterward, Kemal goes to ask Sinan why the fight happened and tells him he pulled the fire alarm to help them because Burcu asked him to. Sinan replies that Kemal has finally started caring about someone other than himself and that he clearly loves Burcu so much that he obeyed her without asking why. Sinan says it openly to pull Kemal out of the denial he's been hiding behind. Then he walks away, leaving Kemal staring at Burcu, silently confirming that Sinan was right. He really does love her. The whole group accepts that they're going to be expelled and decide to tell their families. Each family reacts differently. One suggests transferring their daughter before the expulsion becomes official so it won't be recorded. Another talks about bribing the school. Sinan is the only one who doesn't know how to tell his parents because they don't care enough to listen. He notices a painting missing from where it used to hang, one that Ashik liked. He realizes his father took it home, even though Sinan told him he loved it. As always, his father ignored his feelings and cared only about his other household. They all meet again the next day, except for Ishik, who is grounded at home. Ada tells them her parents decided to transfer her to a school in France before the upcoming council meeting so that the expulsion won't appear in her records. None of them can do anything to help her, and Kerem agrees with her parents. She has to save herself. We return to the abandoned house, where Ada is the first to arrive after Ishik sends her a message. Then we cut back to Burcu, who is trying to think of any way to stop the group from being expelled. Suddenly, there's a knock on her door. It's Tunkai, coming back hoping they can get back together, convinced someone must have influenced her to change her mind. She tells him she's not a little girl who gets swayed by others, that she makes her own decisions, and she does not want him back. Then she shuts the door in his face, but the door knocks again. She opens it, ready to argue even harder, only to find Kemal standing there. He tells her he came to help her figure out a solution together. She tells him maybe he should brainstorm with Pelin instead, and it's clear she's jealous. But she still lets him in. They sit and try to think of a plan. Kemal tells her he reviewed all the students' files and found nothing hopeful. There's no realistic way to save them from expulsion. She needs to be brave enough to accept defeat and admit there may be no way out. Meanwhile, back at Sinan's abandoned house, Ada and Ishik sit together talking about their lives. Ada brings a painting as a gift for Ishik, something she can finally keep now that she's moved into the house. Ishik opens the gift and finds it's the same painting that used to hang on the wall in Sinan's home, the one she always loved. The moment she sees it, she breaks down crying, and Ada hugs her tightly. Later, they sit by the sea. Ada holds Ishik's hand and draws patterns on it, just like she used to draw on her cast back in school when they were waiting for the board's decision about their expulsion. Back in the past, Burcu was the only one who spoke in their defense. She tried everything to protect them, highlighting their difficult home lives, how badly they were treated by their parents, and how the school shouldn't destroy their academic future as well, because this might be the last hope they have. She told the board that if they choose to expel them, they must accept responsibility, and if someday one of those kids harms themselves, the board should know they were the reason. Burr succeeds in turning the votes around. Nekdet becomes the only one who votes for their expulsion, while everyone else votes for the group to apologize for what happened. It will be their final warning, and the apology must be delivered during morning assembly in front of the entire school. But Kerem and Eda immediately object. They refuse to apologize, and their pride makes the situation even harder. Later, Burcu goes to Kemal's office because he asked for her. He tells her that even though he told her to give up, she fought back and actually managed to save the students, and that this strength is exactly what he loves about her. He wishes he had even the slightest chance with her, despite her engagement. Burcu tells him she already ended the engagement. Kemal is overjoyed and finally confesses his love for her, and the two of them officially get together. By the end of the day, the apology issue reaches Kerem's parents. For the first time, Kerem's father apologizes to him for forcing him into things and for making him feel small. He tells Kerem he never meant to belittle him, that he has always loved him no matter what. He asks him to apologize at school and promises that both he and Kerem's mother will be there so he won't feel weak in front of everyone. The same happens with Ida. Her mother tells her she will always stand by her side and support whatever she loves. The whole gang meets before school, and they all agree to apologize during morning assembly so they can continue their education. They walk into school with their families, except for Sinan, who stands alone. The entire school waits for the moment they will apologize. Nekdet has prepared a humiliating speech for them to read aloud themselves, meant to crush whatever pride they have left. Sinan stands there by himself until Kamal walks over, straightens his clothes, and tells him he's not alone. He also lets Sinan know that he and Burcu are officially together, reassuring him and lifting his spirits. After Sinan realizes Burcu and Kamal are now together, he tells Kamal everything the group had been trying to do from the very beginning, that he was their only hope of avoiding expulsion by getting together with Burcu. At the same time, Burcu finally understands everything the group had tried to do, how they kept trying to bring her and Kamal together in every possible way. Realizing this, she decides to leave the school altogether. She doesn't show up for the assembly or the apology. Morning assembly begins, and Nekdet steps up to speak. He announces that it's time for the guilty to admit their mistakes and apologize for them. Sheets of paper are handed out so the students can read their apology aloud. Sinan's turn comes first. He steps up to the microphone and tells the entire school that he doesn't regret what he did and that he's not going to apologize. Then he drops the mic and walks off. Ada goes next. She says she refuses to apologize, and more importantly, Nekdet should change his suit and shoes because they're disgusting. She throws the apology paper on the ground and goes to stand beside Sinan. Before Kerem speaks, Nekdet tells him that his father agreed to pay for rebuilding the entire lab and that the apology is just a formality. He should read the paper and get it over with. But Kerem introduces himself and says he will not apologize because that's not who he is. And he's not going to apologize over a worthless, meaningless lab. Then Ishak steps up. Before speaking, she remembers every moment she lived with her friends, the memories they shared, and the wish she made on her birthday, that 20 years later, each one of them would still be part of each other's lives. She tells the entire school that she's not sorry for what happened. They were beating up her friend Kerem, and she couldn't stand by and watch. If it happened again, she would jump in, fight, and do the exact same thing. That's why she's proud of what she did. All the students begin applauding her. Osman's turn comes next. He stands there silently for a long moment, then finally says he's not going to apologize either and walks over to stand with the rest of his friends. The entire school, everyone who knows Osman, is thrilled and cheering for them. But despite the applause, the 5 of them are officially expelled. They gather later at Sinan's house and burn their school uniforms together. Meanwhile, Burcu thinks the love between her and Kemal was nothing but an illusion, but Kemal catches her right before she leaves town. He tells her everything that happened was because of them, because they truly love each other. They reconcile and stay together. Back in the present timeline, Ada and Ishak sit in Sinan's abandoned house, remembering every moment of their youth. But the house begins to collapse, and the framed picture of them as teenagers falls to the ground and shatters. Ada picks it up and starts crying over her life, her failures, and everything she went through. Ishak tries to comfort her and tells her they need to get out of the house before it collapses completely. Just as they're about to leave, they hear the door knock again.